If you think you've heard the whole story, you haven't. What began in Series 1 was only the beginning. They buried the child beneath their floor, but what rose 10 years later could not be silenced. Welcome to Series 2 of The Boy Beneath the Floor. Stay with me, because what happens here will leave you desperate for Series 3. The villagers awoke to screams tearing through the dawn. They came from Obinna's hut. Neighbors rushed out, pointing, for in the night they swore lightning had struck only that house. Not a tree, not another hut, just his. By sunrise, Obinna's family stumbled outside pale and shaken. Their lips stayed shut, but the villagers whispered, "The cursed child has risen." Children pelted the walls with stones, daring each other to stand near the house. Inside, silence weighed heavier than iron. Ngozi's eyes sank deep into their sockets, sleepless, for she watched shadows stretch unnaturally across the floorboards. Little Ife, once lively, grew quiet, his head tilting as if listening to someone whisper in corners no one else could hear. And Chika, she begged, night after night, "Mama, let us leave." But Obinna's pride chained them there. Beneath their feet the ground throbbed faintly, like a buried heart refusing to die. One morning, Ngozi carried her palm oil to market. But each calabash split open as soon as she touched it. Red oil spilled into the dirt like blood. Market women gasped, stepping back. One spat at her feet. "Take your spirit child away from us." Shamed, Ngozi ran, clutching her wrapper. When she reached her doorway, muddy footprints lay waiting across the threshold. They circled her bed, then vanished beneath the planks. That night, she scrubbed the floor till her knuckles bled. Yet, the footprints glistened. Still wet, though no rain had fallen for days. Chika whispered, "Mama, he followed you." Ngozi slapped her mouth shut, but her hands trembled. Later, she dreamed of the boy in a crowd, his glowing eyes fixed on her. When she woke, her palms were wet, dripping silver tears that shimmered in the lantern light. Obinna refused to bow to fear. He gathered the villagers, chest heaving. "Tonight I will sacrifice a goat at the shrine. My house is no place for spirits." The people nodded uneasily. That night, a goat was tied near the hut. By morning, its body was found twisted into a broken knot, mouth forming silver, eyes wide with terror. Women shrieked, men fled. Enraged, Obinna stormed into the hut, pounding the floor with his staff. "Show yourself, boy!" The house stilled. The air grew heavy. Then a voice rose beneath the planks, calm, cold, and far older than a child's. "You buried me once, and still you bury truth, but you cannot bury time." Obinna's staff fell from his hand. He staggered back, face pale. But instead of kneeling, he drank. He drank until his laughter turned hollow, yet every drop of palm wine tasted like ashes. That night, Chika woke screaming. Her wrist bled fresh claw marks. She cried that something had dragged her beneath the floor. Obinna tore planks, torch in hand, but the soil was smooth, untouched, as though no child had ever lain there. Chika whispered, the boy dripping mud onto her sheets. Ngozi rocked her, weeping silently. But Ife smiled in the dark. "He tells me stories, Mama. He says he was born from the ground." Ngozi's blood froze. By dawn, the well had soared. Women drew buckets not of water, but of thick silver liquid. Chickens ran, goats screamed, refusing to drink. The villagers stormed Obinna's house, torches raised. "Your spirit child has poisoned our well." The mob pressed forward until the old diviner stepped into their path, her staff raised high. "Fire will not silence what lies beneath," she warned. Her cloudy eyes turned toward Obinna's hut. "He waits for what is his." That night, Ngozi went to the diviner in secret, falling at her knees. "Help me, Mama. Tell me how to end this." The old woman shook her head. "The child beneath your house is neither alive nor dead. He was starved of sun, starved of burial. His grief is older than you. Unless he is released, he will drink your blood. But hear me, this ending is not yours to write, it is his." Ngozi tried to flee with her children before dawn, but every path she took bent back toward the hut. The trees shifted, the roads curved, laughter followed them through the dark forest, soft, mocking, and childlike. By morning, she collapsed at her doorway. And there, crouched at the threshold, was his shadow, waiting, patient as the earth itself. Families abandoned huts nearest Obinna's. The once bustling market fell silent. Strange happenings swept the land. Yam barns rotted in a single night. Drums beat faintly though no hand struck them. Shadows stretched impossibly long at dusk. Obinna grew thin, trading nothing, eating nothing, but pride. He spat curses into the empty air. And the more he cursed, the more he lost. Ngozi's hair streaked white. Chika coughed blood until her lips cracked. And Ife grew calm. Too calm. He hummed lullabies no one had taught him. One evening, Ngozi found him crouched on the floor, drawing circles in ash. Inside them, bones, broken toys, scraps of cloth. She screamed, but he only lifted his head, eyes glowing faint silver. "He is teaching me, Mama. He says I must take his place." Ngozi clutched him sobbing, but his hands were cold as stone. His voice steady, no longer her son's. That night, she dreamed of two boys, one clean, one muddy. When she pulled Ife toward her, their faces melted together. She woke gasping, heartbreaking. At last, Ngozi begged Obinna to dig. And broken, weary, he agreed. Together they ripped up the planks, digging till sweat poured down their backs. But no body lay there, no bones, only smooth, untouched soil. Obinna fell to his knees whispering, "Then what did we bury?" Suddenly, a cold wind howled up from the earth, snuffing out their torches. In the dark, the voice returned, "You cannot bury what was never dead." The soil cracked. From the pit bubbled silver tears, glowing like molten moonlight. Ife stepped towards it, calm, eager. Chika screamed, clawing her mother's arms. The villagers who watched from afar would never forget the sight. The boy standing at the glowing pit, his eyes shining silver, whispering in a voice no longer his, "Mama, he is already inside me." This was series 2 of The Boy Beneath the Floor. If you missed the beginning, go back to series 1, or the whispers in this story will never make sense. And prepare yourself, because in series 3, the boy's true face will be revealed.